first of all, before we get started, some important information. All rights to the recordings of this program are reserved by Sohail Khan and the Joint Venture Group. The information provided on this program is for informational purposes only. There are no guarantees that the results you get are the same as the results obtained from the program creator. So let's begin. Okay, so first of all, again, just briefly touching upon my background and expertise, as I will be taking this class and I will be teaching you and coaching you during the 6 modules that we have on this program. So a bit about myself, first of all. If you ever heard of a guy called Jay Abraham, one of his business partners, Mark Goldman, quoted me as a true rags to riches super success story, just like Andrew Carnegie. Another very well-known marketer gave me the name the Master Connector. I've achieved over $16 million using joint ventures, and through this actual module, I'm going to take you through some joint venture case studies of how I've done that. I'm also an international speaker, charging $5,000 for a keynote speech, which is something that I do a lot of. And I'm also the only Brit ever to be invited to speak about joint ventures in the US. I'm probably in the top 3 joint venture experts in the world right now. I don't know. I probably put myself in the top 2. Number 1, obviously, is one of my mentors, Jay Abraham, who's achieved phenomenal success using joint venture partnering. I'm also the creator of the $1 Million Partnering System. This is the system that I've developed to help individuals, businesses, coaches and consultants to use joint venture partnering or partnering to create $1 million plus businesses. And I'm also the author of Guerrilla Marketing and Joint Ventures with the late J. Conrad Levinson of the Guerrilla Marketing fame. Okay, so here's what we'll be covering over the next 6 weeks. Week 1, which is Module 1 right now, we're going to be covering Introduction to Joint Venture Partnering. Week 2, we're going to be covering how to build your expert credibility. This is very important because one of the things, if you want to be getting involved in sort of joint venture brokering, for example, or even partnering, building your credibility is very, very important. And this is what attracts big name partners and quality partners to you also. Week 3, Module 3, we'll talk about joint venture product creation. As you know, I've done a few high-level 7-figure joint ventures. Actually, my previous company, which was a $10 million plus company, was actually based around product creation, and I'll talk more about that in this class. And I'll go through how to create different products, either as a broker or within your own business, to go out and do more partnering with other companies. Week 4, Module 4, we'll talk about how to find targeted joint venture partners. Now, this is a question that a lot of people ask me. Okay, look, so Sohail, how do we go out and find these partners? How do we go out and find targeted partners that we can work with? How can we trust these partners? And also, how can we convince these partners to work with us? So week 4, we'll be covering that in that module. And obviously in week 5, which is module 5, we'll be covering how to manage these joint venture partners. So once you've got them on board, now what do you do? So we're going to be going through, and I'm going to be showing you exactly how I do this and how I train my students who are joint venture brokers, and how I sort of coach and train clients as well, how to manage their joint venture partners and their joint venture partner network. And then in week 6, we'll have a bonus Q&A. I'll get a couple of my multi-millionaire mentors and a couple of my associates to join into a bonus Q&A, so you can ask us as many questions as you want, and we can try and get the as much as we can for you out of the program by week 6. Okay, so first of all, an introduction to joint venture partnering. Now, a lot of people ask me, first of all, what is a joint venture and how do joint ventures work? A lot of people, they know the basics and a foundation approach to joint ventures, but they still can't understand how exactly joint ventures work. So, a joint venture is basically what it is. It's an agreement which gives a benefit to 2 or more people in the partnership who actually share complementary resources. So, for example, let's say you've got a bathroom tile manufacturer and a bathroom suite manufacturer. Now, these companies see each other as competitors. However, they have the same customer base. Okay, they share the same customers. Now, two of these companies could get together and partner and say, hey, guess what? Why don't you promote your bathroom tiles to our customers who buy bathroom suites, and vice versa. Now, most of the times, if companies haven't got that sort of education in terms of how partnering works, they're very closed in terms of accepting to work with other companies because they see them as competitors. Now, this bathroom tile manufacturer might see the bathroom suite manufacturer as a competitor, but really they're not. They don't sell competing products. However, they share complementary resources, which is the same customer base. When you have more than two people in a joint venture partnership, the third person is normally known as a joint venture broker, which is something that I do a lot of, bringing companies together that otherwise would not work together and see each other as competitors. I come in more as a medium, sort of a middleman who is neutral, but helps both of these companies to manage the joint venture partnership and to make money and to make a profit. And the resources, basically, they can be anything. They don't have to particularly be just products. They could be services. They could be business assets, and a customer list. But the most important thing is that there has to be a relationship with the person who owns that, and that can be leveraged very, very easily, as we're gonna, as I'm gonna go through in this lesson and show you exactly how it's done. And while we're actually going through the training in this class, I want you to definitely make some notes. Here's a tip in terms of whenever you go out to a seminar or workshop, how to actually make notes. Don't necessarily write down what you see on the screen, because obviously you will get copies of this recording right now, and there'll be copies of the slides available for you as well. Write down the ideas that you get. So whenever you're out at a workshop or seminar, don't waste your time writing every single PowerPoint slide or everything you see on a presentation. You must write down the ideas that you have for your own business, because this is what you would ultimately walk away with, and this is what will really help you. So do make sure that when you make notes, it's just ideas that pop into your head, because when I'm discussing different joint venture case studies, trust me, you will have ideas, and a little light bulb will go up in your brain, and that is the opportunity for you to make those notes, because like I say, we will have a Q&A session also, and I'd like some feedback in terms of ideas that you have. No idea is crazy. This is the beauty of doing joint ventures and what I do. No idea is crazy, and all ideas must come to the table and be discussed. So please do make as many notes as you can. Okay, so let's talk about a business's most valuable asset first of all. Now, the relationship between a business owner and customers is the most valuable asset that can be leveraged. Some people say that the money is in the list. Actually, the money is in the relationship you have with your list or with your customers, for example. So this is the most important thing that can be leveraged. So, for example, when a business is sold, this asset is valued on a balance sheet. Now, this is known as goodwill. When you purchase a company, for example, you're paying over the odds sometimes because of the goodwill that that business has with its customers, and this is the relationship. Now remember this, it costs 6 times as much to sell to a new buyer, okay? So this is a very standard figure in marketing or in starting a new business. It costs 6 times as much to sell to a new buyer. So lead generation is very expensive. It will cost you 6 times to generate generate the sale because of the amount of money you're paying for the lead. But if you sell again to the same customer, it's pure profit because you've obviously covered your cost when you spent that money on lead generation. But here's the thing, if you're using joint venture partnering, it costs you nothing to generate that lead because you're using someone else's list or someone else's asset, okay? This is why joint venture partnering is very powerful. And I will also take you through a case study of a client that I have in New York that we helped basically do this. They were spending basically 6 figures on lead generation, and I'll talk you through exactly how I managed to help them there. And the thing is that more of the profit is yours because there's no advertising costs. Because there's no advertising costs, you get to retain most of the profit. Okay, so this is very important factor when you're looking at why and the reason why we should be using joint venture partnering, okay? Because like I said, it costs 6 times as much for you to find that new customer and then convert that customer. But if you're using joint venture partnering, the upfront cost is 0, absolutely 0, okay? So let's look at some of the benefits of using joint venture partnering. Now, joint venture partnering allows you to compensate in weak areas in your business without any sort of investment. Now, what does that mean? I'll give you an example of a client that we had. They had a call center selling a widget for, let's say they're selling a widget, for example, and they were based on the East Coast. Now they thought to themselves, okay, look, what we need to do really is we need to sell more of this product, but they had a problem because they didn't have the investment to expand the business and expand the sales force via a call center. So what we did with them is that we went to another company who were non-competing. Okay, they didn't have the same product. However, they had capacity to put more people in their call center. Now, this was during the previous recession. So, a lot of companies are during the previous recession, they downsize, but guess what? Their equipment still stays the same. If you make an investment in a call center, for example, there's not much you can do with it because you've already paid for that investment. But if you're letting salespeople go, then there's going to be less people sitting at a call center. But if you can come in and say, hey, you've got all these spots in this call center, if you could put more people in and drive more sales, we'll give you a percentage of the sales. That will pay for the people, plus that will give them extra money as well. So that's another way that you can do it, by utilizing someone else's asset that's already paid for and giving them a percentage of the profits. It also allows you to take advantage of unlimited skills and resources. What that means is once you've done one joint venture, you can repeat it again and again and again and again. Okay, so if one joint venture works in one particular industry, there's no reason why you can't go to another company and say, hey, guess what? We did this partnership deal with this company. It worked really well. Now we'd like to do it with you. Here are some of the results we got. And they're a satisfied customer. Here's a testimonial from them. Now we'd like to do the same partnering opportunity with you. Now we did this a lot in my previous company, which was a $10 million training company. We did this a lot by taking a successful joint venture that we did already with one company and just duplicating that as we went down to approach new joint venture partners. It also allows you to boost your lead and your client generation profits quickly. Now, I'm going to take you through a couple of case studies so I can explain how this works. But basically, you could end up paying nothing for leads or lead generation using joint venture partnering. It's absolutely phenomenal that you can actually get someone else to generate all the leads for you, and you basically close those leads and you give them a percentage. So it's interesting, and there's so much capacity because a lot of people are spending money on pay-per-click, on Facebook ads. Surely they can't sell to every single prospect that comes through the door or every single prospect that they attract. So there is going to be capacity not only for leads but capacity to generate more leads. It also allows you great branding potential for free. Now, one of the reasons why I've become a joint venture expert and one of the top joint venture experts in the world is not only from the joint ventures that I've obviously done and the mentors that I've had, but also from the people that I've partnered with. You can also partner with leading influencers, thought leaders, and that will really increase your credibility. And we're going to be talking about credibility on the next module, and I'll discuss that more in terms of how you can do that in such a short space of time using joint venture partnering. And also another point of joint venture partnering, it allows you to make money out of thin air, and this is no joke. A lot of people say to me, so one of the things with joint ventures is people say, you can make money out of thin air, and it is very true that you can. I'm going to talk more about this also, and also I'm going to sort of touch upon that in terms of how it really works, and how it's worked for me, and it's how it's worked for my clients and my students as well. So one of the most important things we need to understand, first of all, and also we need to get in place before we start doing joint venture partnering, is the joint venture partnering mindset. Now, this is very important when you're going out and doing joint venture partnering, whether it's as a business, whether it's as a broker, whether it's as a consultant. It's very important to understand how joint ventures work, but also not only that, but having the right mindset to get the outcomes you want from doing those joint ventures. Now, if you don't have the right success mindset, then you're definitely going to fail. A success mindset is very important in all aspects of business. And one of the things that I use a lot of and I teach my students is visualization. That's a really good way to manifest the specific outcome that you want. This is very important because when you're going into deals, when you're going into partnerships or partnering, you want to really try and push for that outcome and the success that you want. And visualization is one of the best ways to do that. Even when you're going into negotiations with partners, I mean, for example, I travel a lot, a lot. I'm based in the US and I'm based in the Middle East as well, currently at the moment. And the Middle East is different in terms of how they do negotiation. They do a lot of bartering in the Middle East, and they do a lot of negotiation. In the US, it's slightly softer. So you have to have that sort of mindset, and you have to have that sort of mindset where you can visualize that specific outcome that you're after. This really, really helps with getting the deal closed and getting the deal done as well. And if you want to attract the energy of opportunity and success, then you should use affirmations. And I'm hoping for those of you guys watching the recordings of this program, and for those of you guys live on it, you can join in with me right now and say, first of all, the first affirmation is, I am the right person in the right place at the right time, doing the right things with the right people. Okay, this is very, very important, and I do this a lot when I speak on stage and when I have the audience up. We do a few affirmations to help people just get their mindset into place. Another one is, I'm aware of and open to unlimited joint venture opportunities. I'm involved in the best high-level joint venture opportunities. Now, here's the thing with affirmations, okay? I have been invited to many events around the world, Tony Robbins, T. Harv Eker. T. Harv Eker's events were very, very interesting, especially his Millionaire Mind Intensives. I remember the last time I attended one of his events, we had close to probably 500 people in the room, and he was doing a lot of affirmations from the stage, and I could see that a lot of people in the room wouldn't really, to be honest, become millionaires, because affirmations are affirmations, but affirmations without action are just that. They're not even affirmations. So if you have affirmations and you want to bring affirmations into your life, it's very important to combine that with action, okay? Because nothing happens without action. So affirmations are good because it prepares you mentally to go into deals and to be successful. And but without action, there is no successful outcome without action. So always also see yourself as someone adding value to others. The great thing about this, joint venture partnering, being a joint venture consultant, broker, and partnering with other companies is also, you've got to see yourself as adding value to others. If you have a great product, if you have a great service, and if you think that the world needs to hear about it, then you must convey that to your joint venture partner, and and let them know that it's really going to add value to them and add value to their customers. Their customers are very precious, so you've got to make sure that it's a win-win-win situation, a win for you, a win for them, and a win for their customers. Okay, so remember that it's not always a win-win; it's a win-win-win. So what I want to do right now, and for most of you guys who have probably heard my story already, it's very important because I want to just take you through again my journey of how I got into joint ventures and how I've become very, very successful doing joint ventures and joint venture partnering. And it's the only thing I ever do. You won't catch me being a social media expert, a PPC expert, a website expert, a Facebook expert. I am a joint venture expert. That's all I've ever done over the last sort of 15 years. And it works so phenomenally well anywhere in the world, okay, anywhere in the world. But I want to tell you now and just take you through my story and a couple of joint venture case studies. And hopefully if you're taking notes, I want you to have a look and see how this may help you in your own business or help you in terms of deciding what sort of business you want to start by using joint ventures and so on. So this is me in 2006. I built a very successful 8-figure business using joint venture partnering. There you can see I bought a very beautiful 12-bedroom mansion in the UK in a place called Hertfordshire, and I had that. I finally managed to purchase that bright, shiny red Ferrari that I always wanted. Always wanted to have a Ferrari when I was a kid, and growing up, when I became very successful, I went out and paid cash for the Ferrari. It was just one of my dreams and one of my goals that I set myself, and I had achieved that by 2006. So that's me in 2006. Built a very successful business using joint ventures, and then 2008 during the recession, I ended up losing everything. I lost the whole business. I lost everything I had and was totally broke. But I never gave up, and in 2009 I set myself a challenge to make $1 million in 12 months, and completed a $1.5 million deal, which just took me 30 days to complete, and I will go through that step by step how I did that as well, and show you how I got up to that stage. So let's just begin, and let's start off from the beginning. My background, basically, I originally trained as an accountant. And while working at one of the top accountancy firms in London, I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest with you. I am more a people person, rather than sitting in front of a PC all day and just counting numbers. So I was only there for probably about 6 months, and then I started teaching other people how to use PCs, laptops, and the internet. Internet was at its very early stage back then, and my supervisor said to me, Sohail, you're so good at dealing with people and using the internet. Why don't you consider doing something in IT? So I left a very successful job as an accountant, and I did a master's in information technology with business, and I wrote a thesis called "The Impact of the Internet on the Manufacturing Industry." And it was about 1996, 97, and the internet was at its infancy, and people were wondering, what's the impact of this internet on business, and how is it going to affect the manufacturing industry? So I wrote this thesis and did research on this thing called the internet and how it would be the next big thing for business. And my professor posted it online, and obviously, if you'd been around as long as I have. Back then, they didn't have Google. Google came out in 1998. They had things called bulletin boards. So I started getting emails and phone calls from companies asking me, look, we read your thesis with great interest, and we'd like you to come in and talk to us more about how we can use this thing called the internet for our business. So there I was, straight out of finishing my master's, doing actually consulting with some really big companies. I mean, I was consulting with some big venture capital firms, .com companies, and one of my first clients was a company that you may have heard of called QVC.com. And it was great, from 97, 98 onwards, I started basically consulting as what you might call really like an internet marketing consultant or internet consultant. And we were inundated because back then, during the .com boom, loads of companies had money to spend on marketing. So each of our clients were spending between $15,000 and $25,000 per campaign. So this was great for us, and I launched a case study business, which was basically I just took some computer training courses, created PDF courses from them, put them online, attached a shopping cart to it, and then every day, when Google launched, we were #1 on Google. Every day we would get orders on this computer training website, and we would get emails on our email inboxes. Now, ping, an order has arrived, you have an order. Mind you, this was 1998, okay, so we're talking a long time before what you see nowadays, or probably on your Facebook wall or in your email boxes of people making money, on internet marketing. We were doing this many years ago, and it was called e-commerce back then. So we had this small website doing really well. The website was making us about about $5,000, $7,000 a month, like clockwork. And every day we would get an order, and we use that as a case study to show these big corporate companies that, hey, we know how to sell online, we know how e-commerce works. So from that, we started getting more clients, and it was fantastic until the year 2000. In the year 2000, the dot-com bubble burst, Y2K came about, and basically we lost the majority of our clients. And also in the year 2000 onwards, basically, we as internet consultants were to blame for Y2K, computer consultants. So we not only lost a lot of business clients, we couldn't go back out into the industry because the industry had collapsed. So early 2000, we thought, okay, what do we do right now? We don't have many clients left. Actually, we were coming close to having 0 clients. And then we looked at this small computer training website that was doing between $5,000 and $7,000 a month, and we said, hey, why don't we focus on trying to build this business and see if we can, make a full-time business out of it. So early 2000, I came across a book, and you might want to write this down. It's called How to Get Everything You Can Out of All You've Got by Jay Abraham. And I started reading that book, and in that book, Jay spoke about strategic alliances and joint ventures, and I was like, wow. So I could go to any business, get them to sell and promote for me without spending any money, and then just give them a cut, as in give them a cut of the of the sales or of the profits, and I could do that again and again and again. So I decided to put this into action, and what I did was I approached the largest recruitment agency in Europe, and I emailed them and said, hey, if I could create an additional revenue or profit stream for you without increasing your overhead, would you be interested? And they said yes. So I got invited to present to their directors in central London. Went to their offices, and there was like 3 or 4 directors sitting there, and they said, first thing they said to me was, Sohail, so how are you going to create more profit and more sales for us without increasing our overheads? I said, look, it's simple. It's called a joint venture. I said, what I can do literally is I could create joint ventures, and I could do a joint venture with your company, and you can get more money without increasing your overhead. So I asked them, first of all, how many people they had on their database. They had over like 150,000 IT professionals, and I said, look, right now the IT recruitment market is a downtrend. So you're obviously not making money from your main revenue, and that is your only revenue. If I can create another revenue stream for you without increasing your overhead, then that would be great, right? And they said yes. And I said, look, what are you doing right now? What sort of promotions are you doing to this database right now? And they said, look, every fortnight we send out a newsletter. I said, do you advertise in that newsletter? They said no, they don't. I said, look, here's the thing. If you endorse our computer courses, and here's our conversion rates, and here's how much we sell, and here's the quality. If you endorse our computer courses to your database, and just put them in the same newsletter that you send out every fortnight, any sales you make will give you a percentage of those sales. So this is great. They didn't need to increase the overheads, and they would make more money just by putting it in their existing email or in their existing marketing. So for us, this was pretty phenomenal. And we also had an affiliate program, so we could track all the sales and all the clicks and all the visitors, and give them basically give them weekly reports. And it was phenomenal. In our first year with this small computer training website, we did about sort of $60,000 to $80,000. In our second year, we did close to $350,000 to $375,000. So the massive increase was quite amazing. So for that, I was hooked. I thought, okay, this is phenomenal. If that's what one joint venture can do, how many joint ventures do you think we can do to explode this business? So fast forward to 2002, the industry had changed. Now, if you find this happening in your business, this is interesting, okay? So listen very carefully. We were selling PDF-based training courses. Our competitors were selling video-based courses. And we wanted to sell our courses to corporates. We wanted to get into the corporate market, the corporate training market. So we did some research, and we found that, to create 1 hour of e-learning video, which was the buzz in 2002, would cost us $10,000. And we thought, wow, you know, our competitors have over 100 courses. I mean, and these courses have hours of training. So we're going to need at least $1 million or close to that to, you know, create our own courses. And we didn't have that. So again, I turned to Jay's book, and Jay spoke about something called licensing, which is something that I do quite a lot of nowadays. And he said, look, you know, you can go out and take something that's already successful, bring it to a new market, and basically and really, you know, not pay as much as you would do by creating it yourself. So we thought, okay, this is interesting. So we looked around on the internet. We found a company in the US, in Clearwater, Florida, who had created over 150 of these computer training videos. And we said, hey, look, I contacted them and said, look, we'd like to partner with you. I'd like to provide all your courses in the UK, and we'd like to do it under our own branding, which is a white label under our own logo. They said, yeah, we can do that. It's going to cost you initially $100,000 for the license. So I thought, you know, we don't really want to spend $100,000. There must be a way that we can do a deal here. So I jumped on a plane, like you do, flew to the US, and it was interesting. I flew to the company, and it was a very successful company, $25 million turnover based in Florida. And I was sitting in the office of the CEO, who was a very successful female CEO, and she was in a meeting, and I was waiting for her to come out. So when I was in their office, it was a beautiful office. They had all, like, you know, a walnut tables, walnut desk, walnut bookshelf. I looked at the books on the bookshelf, and she had all these books from, like, Dan Kennedy. You know, she had books from Joe Vitale, and one book that really, really stood out for me was Jay Abraham's book, How to Get Everything You Can Out of What You've Got. So I thought, look, this is great, because she's going to understand how joint venture partnering works, and this is going to make my job easier. So we sat down and we had a conversation, and I managed to convince her to let me have the license for free, and I promised her a minimum order commitment on a month-by-month basis of at least minimum $10,000. So I gave her $10,000 as an upfront commitment and flew back to the UK, and now we had 150 computer training video titles under our own brand. And in that 1 year, our business went to 7 figures, now dealing with corporate companies, and the investment for that was just $10,000. Now, a $10,000 investment for $1 million turnover I'd say it's not pretty bad, right? So that's the power of licensing and sort of joint venture partnering that you can do in your business, and you know, and create $1 million business. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you many other examples during this this program, but that's pretty much, you know, something that you can also do, which is actually quite phenomenal. So that's 2002, and an interesting point I want to raise also is in 2004 we actually flipped that license. So we had a license from a company in the US. We had another company approach us from Europe wanting to license our courses, which we actually didn't own. We were the license holders. So what I did was I did a deal where they would we would basically sub-license the license that we had with the authorization of our, you know, of the licensor. Okay, bear with me. And we did a deal that was so good that we wouldn't handle any product. The European company would place orders with us. We would send the order on to our licensing partner in the US. They would ship out the goods, and we would just split the orders 50-50. How awesome is that? So again, you know, there's so many creative things you can do when it comes to partnering. So fast forward now to where we are, where you can see right now, 2006. Now in 2006, I was flicking through the Sunday Times newspaper, and they have a supplement called the Sunday Times Fast Track. Now the Fast Track 100 gives you a rundown of the fastest 100 growing companies in different industries, and ours was technology. So you know, I saw a company in there that had 500,000 customers and was worth $160 million as a group. So I contacted them and said, hey, same thing, if I could create an additional revenue profit stream for you without increasing your overhead, would you be interested? And they said yes. So I got invited to their offices, This was a very successful company. They had a beautiful glass building office, Jaguars, BMWs, Mercedes parked outside, beautiful penthouse, a boardroom. So I went up to the penthouse boardroom, sat there, waited for the CEO and the chairman to come in, which were father and son, family-run business. And while sitting there, I was getting my presentation ready, my pitch. They both came in, sat down, and first of all, I got up and actually I did my presentation. And 10-15 minutes into my pitch, I got stopped by the chairman, and the chairman said to me that, Sohail, thank you for coming, but we're not really interested in doing a joint venture partnership with your company. So I thought, okay, this is really strange, and I thought, okay, at least I got my foot in the door. They probably don't like me, so that's fine. And as I was getting ready to leave, the CEO, who was the chairman's son, got up and said to me, Sohail, actually, what we'd like to do is we'd like to buy your business. So I was like, uh-oh. I sat there thinking, wow, this was something that we planned like at least 3 years later down the line. And I went back, discussed it with, I had 2 further partners at that time, and we decided to sell a majority stake to the 160 million IT group as a part cash and part equity. So we owned equity in a 160 million group, and we had part cash. So 2006 was amazing. We had cashed out. We had a shareholding, each of us, in a 160 million IT group. We were now all multi-millionaires, and that was the height of my success in 2006. So this was amazing, and I had a plan to step down in 2008 to basically sell my shares and cash out and go and basically live on a desert island somewhere and just relax for a couple of years. I actually stepped down as managing director in 2007, and we managed to double the business. The reason for this is the old classic saying, working on the business rather than in the business. Okay, so 2008 was my exit strategy, to exit and cash out and go and relax for a few years, but obviously that didn't happen. 2008, something else happened. We had the recession. Big companies were going to the wall. A lot of these big companies that people thought would be around forever. I mean, this group that we had sold to had been around for 26 years. And in 2008, suddenly, we got the announcement, actually the day after they made the decision, that they were going into liquidation. And because of that, my computer training business, my baby, went under as well with them. And there were also, because we had signed guarantees with the banks came after us for millions in debt, and we were put in a position, and I was forced to liquefy most of my assets and negotiate with the bank to pay them. So I had gone from being a multimillionaire to totally broke in this short space of months, and it was a very, very tough time for me. I went through depression. It's very difficult because when you're used to living such a different lifestyle, and then you don't have the means and the income which gets taken away from you, then it's very, very difficult, and you're in survival mode. So I remember the day, because when I had to move out of my out of the mansion that I used to live in, my mum fortunately still had my old bedroom available in our old house, and I came back home to my old bedroom where I grew up, and I was in a really bad state because it was very difficult for me to comprehend. You always ask yourself the question, what number one, what went wrong, why it went wrong, and number 3, would you have done something different? But you should never question and do that, because the past is the past. When the past is gone, you can't change the past. So you don't want to waste your energy. What you want to concentrate on is not making the same mistakes again, and which is very, very important. So I came home, and it's funny because a lot of my friends in the area who I grew up with were now successful because they all had great full-time jobs as doctors, accountants, or what have you, and they all had the nice houses and the nice cars. And the first thing my friends would tell me was I should have stayed in my job as an accountant, which was ridiculous because the amount of money I accumulated over the years, even though I lost most of it, no normal accountant could have accumulated that in 100 years. So it was a depressing time for me, and I thought to myself, look, I've got to get away from here. So I decided to go on a little spiritual journey with the little savings I had left. And at least a week into that, I decided, and I thought to myself, you know, I've always been a strong entrepreneur. And for me, it's very important. You know, once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur. And with that, I came back. So I decided to come back. And, you know, you hear these stories of people becoming very, very successful, losing millions and making millions. And I thought, look, okay, do I want to be one of those stories where, you know, this guy, he was a multimillionaire, he lost everything, and now he's, you know, a multimillionaire again. So I thought, what do I do? You know, I do definitely want to get back on my feet. I feel that I'm always going to be in business, and it's strange because, you know, recently I semi-retired. You know, I don't really need to work anymore, but I just love it. You know, I just love doing what I do, you know, I am, you know, I've got a book coming out, launching, and things are gonna go, basically they're gonna go ballistic very soon. I've been approached to speak at a lot of events, and I've been approached by a lot of really, really well-known people to partner up with. So you know, the next couple of months is going to be interesting. But you know, for me, it was like I want to get back on my feet. Okay, I don't want to give up. So I thought, okay, so what do I do? So I thought to myself, and I thought, you know what? I still remember that day because when I came home, I sat down, and my mum said to me, "What are you going to do now?" And I said to my mum, "I'm going to try and get back on my feet. I am going to get back on my feet." And she said, "Look, even though you don't have the fancy cars, the Ferraris, the Porsche, the big mansion, the money in the bank," she goes, "your success is not evolved around the material. It's evolved around what you have in your head. Your success will always be in your head." So she goes, "Remember that." So I sat there and I thought, look, there must be a way for me to get back on my feet quickly. What can I do? What can I do? And basically it was staring me in the face. You know, I built a $10 million business with nothing doing joint ventures. So I thought to myself, okay, it's got to be joint ventures. So I set myself a challenge in 2009 to make $1 million doing joint ventures. And I thought, you know, I'll do about 4 or 5 joint ventures, and then you know, I'll just take time off, and you know, I'll have money in the bank. But 2009 was interesting because I did need to do 4 or 5 joint ventures. I actually ended up doing 1 joint venture, which is now made me become quite famous, which I completed in 30 days, just over $1.5 million. So I'm going to take you through now exactly how I did that. And like I said, if you're making notes, just try and think to yourself, how can you replicate that? Or if you know someone that you can approach to replicate this deal. So again, as fate would have it, I was reading one of the Sunday papers, and you know, when you start doing joint ventures, and like I say, if you speak to a lot of my students, I mean, I have students who have done, you know, some have done millions of dollars in joint ventures, some have done sort of 5 figures and 6 figures, but my successful ones who have done like, you know, over $1 million each on joint venture projects and deals, they can see the partnerships right in front of them and put them together without actually having them there. So, you know, with the joint venture mindset, your whole vision will change when it comes to joint ventures. So I was reading the Sunday paper, and it was interesting. I saw an ad for a book called How to Learn the PC in 2 hours. Okay, so, and it was a book that was for the silver surfer market, which is also the baby boom market in the US. And the interesting thing was, at the bottom of the page, it said over 400,000 copies sold. So I thought, wow, this is interesting. They've got a database of 400,000 customers who bought this book. Now, can I do a joint venture with these guys? Can I do some sort of partnering deal? And remember, my background is computer video training courses. Okay, so I thought, okay, this could be interesting. So I gave them a call, and I said to them, you know, I bought this book for my uncle, and you know, he's more visual. Do you have a video version of the book? And they said no. I said, well, look, I've got a video version of the book, a computer training course for basic computer training. Would you be interested in selling this to your existing customers who bought the book, and upselling this, and we can do some sort of deal? And they said yes. So they asked me to send it to them. And here's the thing, guys, I never had the actual product. I just pitched the product. Okay, so I pitched the product to them, and they said yes, and they said, okay, can you come in and see us and talk more about it? And first they asked me to send it in, and I said, look, I'd rather come in and speak to you guys and see if there's what opportunity there is. So I got invited to see them, and they asked me to bring this DVD in. And when I went to the meeting, it was quite funny because the managing director said to me, good to see you, Sohail. So where can I have a look at the DVD? And I said, like, oh, I was in such a hurry, I left it at home in my office. And the managing director looked at me as in, is this guy for real? And he said, look, if you can send it to us in the next sort of 5 days, we'll look at it. And if it's any good, then yeah, we'd be interested in supplying it to our existing customers who bought the book for a percentage. So I left the meeting thinking, wow, these guys really want to do a deal. Now, here's the number one lesson about joint ventures. It's not about the product, it's about the distribution. So if you control the distribution, you control the money. So if you find anyone that has a distribution channel or an asset that can be leveraged, okay, it's about leveraging something rather than finding a product that you can go and do a JV with. Okay, so always look at that aspect first. So I left this meeting and I said, I've got to find this DVD now that I can do a partnership with these guys. So I went into Office World Staples. I looked at some of the DVDs they had there, was how to use your computer, how to use your PC, and I contacted these companies and said, look, I want to do a deal. I've got a client or customer. I reckon they can shift a couple of thousand units of your product. Now, I need two things from you. I need a good price, so we can all make a profit. And can this product be white labeled, or can they have their logo on it? Most of the companies came back, didn't really understand what I was trying to decipher, because obviously most companies need to spend time educating them about joint ventures. And I ended up walking away thinking, I haven't got time to, for these guys, because they were only offering me 30%, and I said, look, we need more than that. So I decided to go to, you might want to write this down, www.elance.com, elance.com. And elance.com is a good website. You can find a lot of freelancers on there, and you can post a project on there and get someone else to create things for you. So I said, here's the book that I have, here are the modules, here are the contents of the book, chapters. Could someone create a video course based on these chapters? So a lot of people bid on my project, and I picked the middle one, and I ended up paying $500 for a DVD course on a video course on how to use your PC based on the book. I took this DVD course with me back to the company. They loved it. This company was a direct mail company, very successful, multi-million dollar turnover company, and the managing director was like, wow, this is amazing, it's just like the book. And I said to him, well, of course. I go, my whole team's been up for the whole week, we've been doing this, and obviously I outsourced it, which was quite funny. And then the managing director said, okay, look, what other titles can we produce, because this is really great. And I said, look, let's concentrate and focus on this one first, get this out to your customers. If they like it, then we can produce more. So I sat with the managing director and said, okay, look, I need some numbers. So you've got 400,000 people on your list. He goes, yes. I said, out of those 400,000 people, how many of them do you think we could upsell the DVD course to? And he said, well, at least I think 50% of them will buy it. So write that down on a piece of paper somewhere, 200,000 customers, okay? Then we started negotiating my fee, and most of these companies work on a points basis. They give you a percentage. I said, look, let's do this. How much do you want to sell it for? He said, we want to sell it for like $20. I said, okay, look, give me $7.50 for each one that you sell, and I'll let you keep the rest. But I don't want to do any of the fulfillment, packaging, labeling. I'll give you the DVD and a license, and you can duplicate it, sell it, and do whatever you want, as long as I get my $7.50 cut. So it was phenomenal. We sat down, and as I was writing out the agreement, the MD said to me, Sohail, if this works really well, I'd love to roll this out to my whole database. And his whole database was 4.2 million customers. So when you hear me say how I went from 0 to 4.2 million customers in 30 days, that's exactly how I did it. So this whole deal took me from end to end to close within within 30 days. And the joint venture took us about 18 months to complete. It was a very big company, and we had several campaigns that we ran. and the results were pretty phenomenal, which is what I'm going to share with you right now. So I found a list of 400,000 buyers and contacted the company with a JV proposal, okay, without the product. I ended up using elance.com to create a complimentary product for just $500. I then introduced and licensed the product to the list owner, making $7.50 per unit sold without handling any fulfillment. And we did just over 201,000 units, and I collected just over $1.5 million as my joint venture commission. Okay, so that's actually a phenomenal deal that you can do. This is a brick and mortar deal, right? I'm going to give you an example now of an online joint venture deal that you can also do. And a couple of my students have done online joint venture deals. Here's a guy who's very well known in America, Chris Farrell. He's an internet marketer, and I put him together with another internet marketer. This guy here is a multi-millionaire. His name is Mike Fulsam. They're both good friends of mine. So I brokered a deal, put these two guys together. They created a product called affiliate.com, and we did just over $4 million at launch. That's another example of how not only I do deals myself or through my own businesses and for clients, but also how a simple brokering deal works, putting two people together, and they ended up making over $4 million from that deal. And obviously, I'm the broker in between. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about joint venture brokering for some of you who are on this program or interested in this. Now, bear in mind that my joint venture brokering consulting programs start at between $10,000 and $15,000. My home study system is $5,000, and that's my high-end programs that I do. But I'm going to take some training from those high-end programs and put this into this program for you also, because a lot of you have requested this. So let's look at the benefits of joint venture brokering. So as a joint venture broker, I make lots of money by simply being a middleman. So all I do is I put people together, companies together, and I collect a commission from any sales that I made or any profits that I made from the deals that I'm putting together for companies. I don't need to spend years building my own list or even creating those products. It's totally hands off. Other people do that, and I just put them together. I don't even need to keep track of sales or chase people for the money or fulfill product orders. The companies that I put together do that, and I just get a printout or a report on a regular basis. Basically, I just step in, I leverage these resources, I make huge profits by just bringing people and businesses together. Okay, that's the simplified version of how joint venture brokering or joint ventures and partnering as a consultant works. Now, here's the thing: if you're looking to do joint venture brokering, to succeed in joint venture brokering, you need to have a good knowledge of your target industry. Okay, this is very important. To be a successful consultant in any industry, you need to do a lot of research. So it's very important to have that knowledge. To go into an industry where you have the knowledge, but you don't always need to. I mean, recently I went into a totally new different country, which was the Middle East, totally new different industry, and we launched a B2B business from scratch using local partners. And the business is on track to do 6 figures in its first year. And we had no idea about that market, no clue about the industry, but we partnered with other people to launch the business. Okay. Also, you need to have great communication and negotiation skills. We're going to touch upon that, how to communicate, how to network, which is very, very important. You need to also build a comprehensive network of contacts. Now, a lot of consultants who come on my programs and spend, let's say, $15,000, $20,000. The first question they ask me is, when can they make $1 million, or when can they do their first $1 million deal? It doesn't work like that. I've been at this game for 15 years, so I've built up contacts. I'm consistently building up contacts using things like LinkedIn, for example, and that's where you'll spend most of your time, building your networks or building your contact on networks, and always let them know this is what you do, because they will eventually approach you when they're looking for more partners. Also, like I had mentioned before about mindset, you need to have a really creative mindset to be able to see these deals before you actually put them together. And also have the will to succeed. So just quickly I'm going to take you through how to get paid as a joint venture broker. Now, you can either get a percentage of each sale, okay, a percentage from the overall profit. Now, a percentage of the sale is always better, because they could a company could always increase their expenses and their overheads, and that will shrink their profits. Okay, so sales is always better to do percentage of sales. You can also get a fixed rate for your service, or a combination of both. Now nowadays, when I first started, I just used to do a percentage because I was starting out in the industry, but nowadays I get paid up front, minimum $10,000. I've also been known to be, paid up to $30,000, and also a percentage of whatever the deal is done. And like I said, these are mostly companies I deal with between minimum $3 to $5 million turnover range. So they can afford the fee, and the percentage for me it works out as a bonus. Okay, so look, doing joint ventures is very lucrative. Okay, so I was paid recently $30,000 for a one-day consult for a financial firm in New York, and they even put me up in the Mandarin Oriental. They paid for my flights to New York. They put me up in the Mandarin Oriental, which was, I think, a couple of $1,000s a night. And for them, it was worth it. They were spending over $100,000 a month on lead generation. I came in, trained their whole team in one day how to go out and find partners that they could tap into their database to generate leads for free, and that would reduce their cost of lead generation. So this is something that I did for them. I set up their campaigns. I trained them how to build the relationships, how to approach the companies, and how to close the deals. Okay, so if you want to do joint venture brokering, it's very lucrative. But hey, if you've got a business and you want to do this in your business, it's also lucrative for you when you're approaching partners as well. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the two most important questions to ask partners. Now, a great thing when you're at an event or a workshop or a seminar and you're looking to connect with people, one really good question you can ask is, first of all, you can ask is, tell me, how did you get started as a blank? Now, this is really, really cool because, if you're approaching people and you ask them about themselves, people like people who are interested in them. So this is a good icebreaker, and it gets you onto the good side of people as well. Then the second question you open up with is, okay, thank you very much for that. So tell me, how can I help you sell more of your whatever it is? The first question, they would have told you what they sell, and now you are basically helping them to find out what they need. Okay, so this is very important, and this is how you find good relationships by doing joint venture partnering. Okay, so let's look at now the top 10 tips for networking success. Number one, first of all, when you go to any networking event, make sure you introduce yourself to the event organizer and registration person. Now, these are two of the most important people you find at an event. Connect with them, build relationships with them, because they will introduce you to the right partners that you want to partner with. Number two, do your homework. Make sure that you pinpoint the people that you want to speak to. And when you're at an event, make sure you know who's going to be there, and make sure that those are the first people that you connect with. Another tip is, if you have a business card, make sure you keep it without any telephone numbers on it, so you can write on it your telephone number when you present it to someone, because it just makes it look so personal. You'll be amazed at the amount of people who go, wow, when I turn up with a blank business card, but then I write my number on the back. It's really personal, and they think, wow, I can't believe Sohail's giving us his cell number, which you could have on your mobile, on your card, but it looks great when you're giving it to someone. Also, when you're receiving a business card, make sure you write on it where you met that person in the conversation, because when you go home and you're sifting through your business cards, you want to see exactly why you connected with that person. And also, always use that other person's name 2 or 3 times during your conversation. Also, those two questions, how did you get started as, and how can I help you? Those are 2 questions that you need to ask when you're doing networking at events. Also, always network in a high traffic area, like outside in the entrance, the lobby, or the bar. If you go to a really high powered event, networking is what's really, really key in terms of finding those right partners, and you do that in those specific areas. Also, don't forget, look, you may meet people at events that are really not your ideal joint venture partners, but don't dismiss them. Tell them that, there is no synergy here, but hey, here's the thing. If I meet someone who I think is a good fit for you, I'll introduce you. So do that. It really makes you look good as well. Also, make sure you book a date in the diary to next contact, or go to lunch with each contact, with each person you meet. this is very important because people do business with people they like. This is something that I've learned over the last 15 years, and it's very, very important. And finally, make sure you follow up within 48 hours by sending your contact a picture with a conversation reminder. Now, if you look at my Facebook or my social media accounts, you see I take pictures with everyone. Most of the people that I connect with, the reason for that is because they will remember me, and I can send that picture to them also just to remind them. So it's very, very important, and these networking tips are very, very important to follow. Okay, so let's look at how to connect with gurus, millionaires, and billionaires, anyone who's high profile. I'll show you a couple of techniques that I learned how to do that. Now, here's a guy called Yannick Silva, a very, very popular marketer. He does an amazing event every year called the Underground event, one of the most amazing events that I've been to, where I met, people like Tony from the CEO of Zappos. I met a couple of billionaires there as well. And I was invited to Yannick's event a few years ago as a VIP, and I put on my social media wall that, hey, I'm going to be at Yannick's event. If anyone wants to connect with me and wants me to help them put together some joint ventures, I'll do it for free, and just give me a shout when you're there. So when I got to Yannick's event, before I even got into the auditorium, I was stopped outside by a bunch of people who said, Sohail, can you help us find some joint venture partners for our products? I said, okay, fine. Well, let's see what you've got. So I had a whole queue of people on my right-hand side showing me their products, putting their products in my face. So, you realize that when you're at events and people come up and shove their business card at you, that's just the wrong way to network. And while I was doing that, on my left-hand side, I had someone come and tap me on the shoulder and said, hey, Sohail, I know you're very, very busy. My name is so-and-so. I'm the, I'm the affiliate manager for Ryan Dice. And Ryan Dice is a very popular marketer. And he said, look, I know you're very busy, Sohail, but can we touch base later, and can I buy you, what are you doing for lunch? I said, look, nothing planned right now. He said, look, okay, let me buy you lunch and we'll sit down and talk then, and I'll see you at the restaurant for lunch. Take care. So he walked on, and I thought, what just happened there? Someone just offered to buy me lunch. And I said, okay, that's cool. So I go back to the queue on the right hand side, helping people, looking at these products, and someone else taps me on the shoulder and he says, I'm the JV manager for Nitro Marketing. He goes, I really want to meet you and talk to you. I know you're very busy. What are you doing later on? Can I buy you lunch? I said, well, I think someone's already buying me lunch. He goes, look, let me buy you dinner then, and I'll meet you in the restaurant in the evening. I said, okay, fine. So he walked off. Then I thought, hey, this is very clever. These guys, what basically happened was I ended up having lunch and dinner with these guys. They had an hour of my time for free, and they bought me lunch, bought me dinner, and basically I gave them an hour of my time. So for me, it was like, this is interesting, how to really network with people. And basically, how to basically offer them something first in return for their time. Okay, so this is a really good way to network with people. And one of the things you can do when you go to events is you either offer to take the guru, the speaker, the high profile person out to dinner or lunch, or even if you find out they're flying into your country, pick them up from the airport and take them to the event. And this is how you build a really good relationship with them before they get into the event, because when they're at the event, they're a different person altogether because they have to have a different sort of profile. So I learned this, how to network with these influential people, and most of them have now become my friends. And I want to give you another example of how I connected with a billionaire. This is a 40,000 square foot mansion in Tampa, one of the largest houses in Tampa. And I was part of a mastermind there, 25K mastermind. Now, I got invited to put together some joint ventures. Sometimes I get invited to high-level masterminds as a facilitator to help put together joint ventures. And I was invited to this mastermind. A guy saw me at Yannick's event, invited me down to Tampa. They picked me up from a limousine at the airport, took me to this really lovely mansion where I would be staying over the weekend with a couple of multi-millionaires. And, I was there. I did my facilitation for them. And during the mastermind, everyone has an hour with the billionaire. So the billionaire comes in, sits down at the desk, at the boardroom table, and starts telling a story about how he became a billionaire from rags to riches, and gives us some really, really good pointers of how to become successful. And at the end of his talk, he gets up and he says to everyone, hey, I hope you all become very successful in life and in business. And everyone got up and started moving towards him. Now, a lot of the guys, remember, they're multimillionaires, okay? They all stood in a line to talk to him, and each of them were handing their business card to him, and he was putting the business card behind him on the table. Now, I walked up to his left-hand side, touched him on the shoulder, said to him, Paul, I know you're very busy and everyone wants to speak to you, but what are you doing tomorrow for breakfast? And he said, I don't know. And I said, look, can we have breakfast together? With that, he called his personal assistant over. His personal assistant booked us in for breakfast, and I walked away. Now, in the evening, I went back to the boardroom, and guess what was still sitting at the end of the table? Everyone's business cards. So he didn't take their business cards, and that's not a way to connect. And then the next morning, I had 2 hours with a billionaire, one-to-one, and it was absolutely phenomenal, and we've become really good friends since then. So this is a good way to network and really use networking. And I did the same again with this guy here, J. Conrad Levinson of the guerrilla marketing fame, who sadly passed away last year. I became really good friends with him, one of my mentors, and I connected with him the same way. A quick story. I was on a cruise, the Mastermind cruise, and on the cruise we had J. Conrad Levinson on the cruise, and we had Michael Gerber from the E-Myth book series. And I really wanted to meet Jay, Jay, basically everyone was surrounding him all the time. People were swamping him. So I said, look, I'm going to look like another groupie this way. So I waited to catch Jay on his own. And when I did, I walked up to him and said, look, Jay, I know you're very busy. A lot of people want to meet you. Is it possible for us to sit down and have lunch or breakfast together and just have a chat? I'd love to talk to you. And he said, sure, Sohail, no problem, we can do that. And then I walked off and I thought to myself, is he really going to remember me? This guy, he's one of the gurus of marketing. And that evening, he was sitting in the dinner hall, and we were told not to disturb him and his family, especially when they're having dinner. And I walked past his table, and Jay called me over and said to me, hey, Sohail, come and join us for dinner. So I ended up having dinner with him, his family. And if you know Jay very well, he tells us some really, really cool stories. He ended up telling me all these cool stories of back when he used to work on the campaigns for the Marlboro Man, the Pillsbury Doughboy. And I told him about this book I was writing, and he said, look, send me it, let me have a look at it. And then, he ended up loving the book and decided to, partner with me, and we co-authored this book, which is basically launching now. And, it was finished a few weeks before he passed away. So it's the last ever book has J. Conrad Levinson in it, and the last book that Jay ever got involved in. And I was very fortunate enough to be the person to have that privilege. So see, joint venture partnering is great, guys. You can build credibility, you can you can build authority and build a great business using joint venture partnering. So I hope you guys found the first class phenomenal, and I hope you made some notes out of it as well. So I'm just going to go through what we covered today. So today we covered introduction to joint venture partnering. We covered the joint venture partnering mindset. We also covered some of my joint venture case studies. We covered some seven-figure joint ventures, showing you exactly how they were done. I touched upon how joint venture brokering works for those of you who are interested in becoming joint venture brokering consultants. We also covered my top 10 networking tips, and I also covered how to network with influential people like gurus, thought leaders, millionaires and billionaires. So I really hope you guys enjoy this module, and I really hope you'll enjoy our next module and our next class.